Can the Jets compete? Yes, they can compete. It's a matter of competing for what?
Geno Smith is not your answer. We know that. The front office knows that. The coaching staff knows that.
There's no quarterback on the field.
Oh. Hello, welcome to Football X's and O's. We'll be talking about the New York Jets and if they can contend in the 2026 season. I'm Ryan Steele. Alongside me is NFL expert David Scott. Man, my Jets we're going to discuss. We usually don't talk about them because they're usually never in contention, but gotta say they have had a pretty good offseason so far.
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility. Things look like they might be on the up and coming, but we'll see if there's any truth to that or not.
All right, we're going to be talking about all that they've done throughout the offseason. They're coming off a dreadful 3-14 season. They got the number 2 overall pick, and they selected David Bailey. But let's talk about Geno Smith, the quarterback, the new quarterback for the New York Jets. He's returning after being drafted by them in the second round in 2013, and he just had a terrible year with the Raiders. 19 touchdowns, 17 picks, just absolutely brutal showings. Obviously, the Raiders' offensive line wasn't good, but you got to say Geno had a brutal year last year.
Yeah, he's definitely going from one of the worst offensive lines in football to, in my opinion, one of the best. Might end up being the best this year. But at the same time, he's Geno Smith. And let's temper our expectations. Now, we saw some good football from Geno Smith in Seattle, and we're not too far removed from that. It seems like he's regressed quickly. The decision-making has been suspect, and you're going to a Jets team that now has replenished weapons, but still there's a lot of consideration there to think, is he really going to be able to elevate the offense that much from whatever they were throwing out last year?
Yeah, it's not like he's getting any younger. He's 35 years old, and you said it. I mean, he had really good years with Seattle. He comes and steps in after Russell Wilson gets traded, looked really good, Pro Bowl years. And then obviously in 2025 goes to the Raiders and had absolute struggles. I watched the tape. I looked at his interceptions last year, and you say 17 is terrible, first of all. But you're like, okay, maybe he was on the offensive line. I only counted a couple. It was because of the offensive line. There was just certain things that he was doing wrong, eyeballing his receivers, throwing a double coverage. Those things can't happen. The Jets hope that they can correct that.
Yeah, you definitely hope that maybe with a little more time in the pocket, with some good coaching, with some better weapons around him, he'll be a little more confident in there, not make the same silly decisions, not try to play some hero ball. But we're going to have him prove that to us. As of right now, I wouldn't have too much confidence, but I think he can show to us that he's capable of leading his offense, but he's going to have to put in a few pretty good showings to do it.
Yeah, and he threw, I think, 68% completion percentage, but the turnovers can happen. And he got sacked 55 times. I'm sorry, the offense line was bad. I think at the same time, sacks are a quarterback stat, in my opinion. You can't get knocked down a lot, and 55 sacks can happen. All right, we're going to be talking about the draft picks for the New York Jets. They started with David Bailey. It was a little bit of a debate. Arvell Reese or Bailey. They went with Bailey. Then Kenyon Sadiq, a surprise pick for them. They now have 2 tight ends. We'll discuss that. We could discuss that too. And then obviously Omar Cooper Jr. in the first round. And then getting D'Angelo Pons in the second round. I feel like they got a lot of winners in terms of where they were on teams.
Yeah, after their first 2 picks, I think there was a little bit of concern. David Bailey, yes, he's certainly the more pro-ready guy between him and Reese, but I, at least myself, had a better grade on Reese. I do think he projects out to be the better player in the future. But as of right now, the impact, I think Bailey is going to have a great impact on this Jets defense, and he's a really good player. Let's not discount him. Just because Arvell Reese could become this spectacular thing, right now David Bailey is a fantastic player, and I think he's going to have a huge impact on that Jets defense. But then you go in and get Kenyon Sadiq, and that's a bit of a head-scratcher.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, they got Mason Taylor, and they used a second-round pick on him, so you wouldn't imagine going for another tight end. But you look at it a little further, he's not a traditional tight end, Kenyon Sadiq. He's a very versatile receiving weapon. I think he projects out more as a really big and tall wide receiver, and he can block a bit in the blocking game, but I think he projects more as your receiving weapon. You'll throw Taylor in to be your blocking weapon when you want to use both of them, or one-on, one-off kinds of things. And then you trade up and get Omar Cooper, which I just thought was a slam dunk. I thought he was going to go much higher than where he did. So to get him back there, I think that is perfect. The Jets have been desperate for a wide receiver, too, to help Garrett Wilson, and that is just the perfect complement for him. And then D'Angelo Pons, that's a nice little consolation prize in the second.
Yeah, I feel like with David Bailey, he has potential to be 12, 13 sacks Probably not, obviously not in his rookie year, but in the years to come. So they needed that. They don't have that. They haven't had that presence in quite a while for the Jets. So that was pretty important. Arvell Reese is more going to be versatile. You don't know exactly what he's going to do on the defense, which can be a good thing. And like you said, Sadiq was a little bit weird for me at the time. I didn't love it. I thought they were going to take Mekhi Lemon.
I saw
with that
those messages
pick.
from you.
I thought they were going to go Lemon. I wasn't happy, and I'm still not 100% with it. But you can't doubt, Sadiq's talent. He could just catch the football in the screen game as well. He's got blazing speed. So I feel like he was going to go drafted around that range, maybe the Panthers, but he ends up going to the Jets. And like you say, with Omar Cooper, I think he can be pretty good. I think he could be in the slot, in the outside as well. And D'Angelo Ponds coming, from a winning, program in Indiana. He reminds me of Aaron Glenn. He's the type of guy that's like, he's only 5'9". Glenn is 5'9". And his instincts are always there. Like, he's always going to be quick to the ball. He's going to be a good tackler, and he can get to the ball. He can high point with the best wide receivers. So obviously the size isn't the best. Obviously, there are quarterbacks that are taller, but I got to say, they improved mightily. The defense was one of the worst in the league, so you got to do something on the defense. Bailey Ponds, I think they nailed it with those 2 picks.
I think secondary was certainly the big issue for the Jets. You really need to get a cornerback after Sauce Gardner leaves. They get Ponds. They do bring in Minkah Fitzpatrick in a trade from the Dolphins to help in the safety position as well. So I think they really did beef things up there. The help on the defensive line is going to be really good. They're taking steps in the right direction.
Defensively, they were one of the worst in the game. I mean, they just weren't getting any sacks. They weren't getting any interceptions.
0.
And there was 0, not one. So for Aaron Glenn and company, you were thinking about he might get fired. So they're saving their behinds, getting a lot of these guys, in the offseason on the defensive side of the ball. And offensive side, we'll see. We'll talk about that right now. As a Jets fan that I am, I feel like I know a good amount of the Jets, so I will be writing the X's and O's for this. Obviously the X's, so should I... All right, so we failed to mention, Frank Reich is going to be the offensive coordinator for Geno Smith and company. So he's 64 years old. His last 2 stops, he got fired midseason. So I didn't really love the offensive coordinator pick, but at the same time, he is a Super Bowl champion offensive coordinator with the Eagles. He has shown promises in the past, and he's with Stanford just recently. So what I think that they're going to do on offense is going to be 11 personnel, a good amount. With the Panthers, when he was the head coach, they ran a second most in 2023, and you're going to have Garrett Wilson going to be on the far left. He's going to be the X because obviously he's the best wide receiver. And then you're going to have, I think it's going to be Cooper over here. He's going to be right next to Garrett Wilson. And then we're going to have A.D. Mitchell as well on the far right. He can run blazing speed. I think the drop issues is a little bit of a problem, but we'll talk about that later. But I think they're going to be doing a lot of 11 personnel, and I think they're going to use the screen game. I just feel like the way that they can run things, he loves using the screen game. I mean, you're going to have Breece Hall. You're going to have Kenyon Sadiq. I forgot to mention Sadiq is going to be on this side. And you could just really open up the game with the screen game. You can have, in motion, Sadiq going to the left side and a little Breece Hall action screen. You have 3 guys blocking. The offensive line shifts. Or you can go other routes. You can have maybe Cooper getting the ball behind the line of scrimmage and them going to the side as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of screens that are going to be happening for the Jets. He loves to use the screen game, Frank Reich, and he also likes dig routes. I feel like dig routes is the thing that he likes the most, and I feel like you're going to have, obviously, Garrett Wilson go 10 yards to the right, and as well as A.D. Mitchell to the left. You can do stuff like that. I feel like Garrett Wilson, he's got the speed. He can do it as well. And then obviously the dig routes, you got Cooper as well. He can just do like a quick 3-5 yards, then go to the middle of the field. I feel like Frank Reich likes using the middle of the field. I think that's what they're going to do a lot in this offense too. I feel like with Geno Smith at the same time, I don't love going to the middle of the field.
Yeah, some of those passes are a little scary in the middle of the field.
So that bothers me a little bit, but I feel like in a way for Frank Reich to adapt to 2026 football, 12 personnel. I feel like you can use 2 tight ends. So I think you get rid of maybe Cooper for plays, and you have Taylor on the other side. And you have Sadiq and Taylor on the same on the field together. That can open up a lot of things. You can have Sadiq maybe going quick route to the left, which I don't love the middle of the field, so maybe you want to go to the right. You can do stuff like that. Taylor to the middle of the field. So stuff like that, I feel like Frank Reich can do in this offense. And obviously, A.D. Mitchell's on the right. You can also take out A.D. Mitchell. I mean, you got to have Cooper on this field too. So that's what I love about this offense compared to years past. They were trotting out guys that just were not NFL caliber players. I mean, they never really had a wide receiver 2 in that building. Yes, they had Devontae Adams 2 years ago, but that was like a quick stint. And then the fact that you can have Wilson on this team, Cooper, you got Geno, Breece Hall, Sadiq, Taylor. I mean, those are good options. I'm not saying they're going to be a top 10 offense. I'm not even saying even close to that. But can we go like 15 to 20th in the league? I mean, that's for the Jets. They're usually not a top 15, top 20 offense. I feel like they weren't even cracking with that when Aaron Rodgers was in town. So if they can just do that, maybe close to 20th in the league, I think that's what they're capable of. Frank Reich, I want to see him use 12 personnel. That's the thing. You got Taylor, you got Sadiq. I want to see them on the field a lot. Now, that might be to the expense of Cooper not being on the field, but guess what? I feel like Cooper, when you get to weeks 4, weeks 5, and on, you'll be seeing Cooper a lot more on the field.
Yeah, and I think Frank Reich, as you say, to try and adapt to that modern offense, I think he should incorporate a lot of motion with this team. You got a lot of quick players. Wilson, Cooper's pretty quick. Sadiq, we know, is very fast. And a fast tight end, you can use those motions across the line. You can run wham kind of blocks, or you can run a tight end screen where he comes across the field. Motion into that tight end screen. Let Taylor drop back and block. Let Wilson run that decoy. I think if they get the pieces that they have moving around, run some deception, and yeah, they could get into that top 20, top 15 offense range and work in ways that can allow Geno to just get the ball to his playmakers. Because this stage of Geno Smith, we don't want him being the superstar on the field. But if he allows these playmakers to just do their thing, get them the ball, let them work after the catch, I think motion's going to help with that. I think 12 personnel would be really exciting. Utilizing your tight ends as both receivers and blockers, you could build something really decent with this offense.
I mean, you can imagine like Wilson being in motion, Cooper in motion. I mean, Taylor in motion. Let's say they want to do a run play, Breece Hall to the right side. So I feel like Frank Reich, he hasn't gone away from the motion. I feel like there are certain aspects that he goes away from compared to the modern offenses, which is even like go routes or post routes. I feel like Frank Reich doesn't do that too much, and that's what I don't really love. Garrett Wilson, I want to see him do go routes. I want to see him do post routes, So those type of things, I want to see a little bit more from Frank Reich. But I think having Taylor and Sadiq, that Sadiq pick might have been a Frank Reich pick. I don't even think it's might have. I think Frank Reich was banging on the table. I want Kenyon Sadiq because he can get me 55, 60 catches in a rookie year. Offensive line was solid last year. They were so healthy last year. I hope that they can stay healthy again. That's a major question mark, though. We'll see. I think they could be 15 in the top 20 in the league offensively. It's a matter of can the defense actually be around that range too. They were only one of the worst in the league last year.
Yeah, and with the offense, I think when you look at these weapons on the field, the quarterback situation, the solid offensive line, and the nice weapons, this offense really reminds me of a San Francisco 49ers kind of offense, a team that has a solid quarterback, but not someone that's really popping your eyes out of your head. Now, Brock Purdy is certainly much better than Geno Smith, but still a solid quarterback, a receiving room that I think is weaker than the Jets. I think the Jets now have a better receiving room than the 49ers. A tight end who is capable in the blocking game, but is also a receiving threat and a very strong offensive line. Those two offenses remind me a lot of each other. If you just install a Shanahan-esque playbook in this, I think you could find some success because the 49ers, they're a 12-win team constantly with that kind of offense. You throw in something similar with these weapons that I think emulate the 49ers so much, I think we could see some good results here.
Yeah, I agree too. I feel like, again, it's all comes down to Geno Smith. And I think at the same time, I thought that was the correct pick because you looked at the other quarterbacks that are available. It was Malik Willis. They weren't going to get Kyler Murray. It really wasn't looking good. You're trying to get Geno Smith from 2024, 2023, 2022. Those Geno Smiths. Geno Smith is going into a situation which I'm not even used to as a Jets fan. I usually am going to be used to one of the worst offenses in the league. I don't think they're going to be that bad like last year. I think they're going to be a lot better. And Justin Fields, he was afraid to throw the ball. Geno Smith is going to rip the football.
I guess the biggest question now is the whole point of this episode. Are the Jets at the point where we think they can compete for a playoff spot? I'll give you the reins first. You tell me what you think.
Can the Jets compete? Yes, they can compete. It's a matter of competing for what? I feel like competing in games, that's what they can do. I think they can be in games, but competing for like a playoff spot, probably not. I feel like they're going to double Their win total, they had 3, so you do the math. So I think they're going to get close to 10 losses still at the end of the day. I think they have a good mix of young guys and veterans, but I just feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of highs with Geno. Maybe not a lot of highs, but a decent amount of highs. The lows, I feel like we're going to see a good amount still with Geno Smith, and that's what's going to lead probably to a top 10 pick, and then you can get your quarterback in 2027. That's what Muji is doing as the general manager. He has 3 first-round picks next year. I think this year you just want to see some progress. So I think around 7 wins next year. I think that's what the Jets will do.
Yeah, well, who wants to come to the Jets anyway?
They're Dolphins fan here, by the way.
But yeah, you're right. They're not ready for the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's just the fact of the matter. I think they're going to be better than last year for sure. Geno Smith is not your answer. We know that. The front office knows that. The coaching staff knows that. I'm sure Garrett Wilson and the players know that. He's your step forward to get you to that draft class next year that is flooded with quarterback talent. And then that's your missing piece. Now it's on the Jets to pick the right quarterback. They haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah.
They're ready to compete. Next year, I think they're ready to compete for the playoffs.
Oh, I want to see some fun like in that offense. I want to see some sacks, interceptions. We didn't get any of that last year. I think they can be competing in games. It's a matter of, will they compete for the playoffs?
No.
I don't think so, and we both say the same thing. Don't think the same thing is for your Dolphins either, by the way, but yeah.
Well, we're not doing an episode on the Dolphins.
We will sooner rather than later. All right, that's going to wrap things up here at Football X's and O's. You can watch us every Monday. We also have other off-season content. Please like and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Will the Jets compete in the 2026 season?